where you want it?
Bay 12, please.
Hello there Transformers fans, hello there G.I. Joe fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. Today we are reviewing the new Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, Megatron as the Hisstank. And they finally did it. After all these years, we finally have fully transformable G.I. Joe Transformer crossover figures. We've had G.I. Joe Transformer crossover figures for a long time now. They were all released in the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, and I think maybe one or two was released in the Transformers Collectors Club up until now, but we finally have some for mass retail. Now, I got mine through Amazon, hence the sticker here over Baroness and the other ugly sticker here. Luckily, I was able to get the shipping label that they slapped right here, Amazon, off without damaging the overall box, because the box on this, the packaging is really, really cool. You've got Megatron right here. You've got the Hisstank right here. Really, really great packaging. There you got Megatron there in both modes. G.I. Joe right there. G.I. Joe on this side with Baroness and the Hisstank. Megatron on this side. On the back, shots of the piece. And that's pretty much it for the outer box. I love the sleeve. I think this is just the coolest. I love the way they did the sleeve for the outer box. Now you can also just open it on one side or the other, and keep the sleeve totally intact as an outer box. But I like the dramatic pull apart, because the inner box is also really cool. On the back you've got some file folders with some Cobra stuff on it. Crossover on the top. Crossover right there. Big old Hasbro thing right there. I mean, this is the culmination of Hasbro's greatest properties. Transformers and G.I. Joe have always gone hand in hand. They've always been set in the same universe. And it's so nice to finally see an actual line for it. I really cannot wait for Bumblebee. Hopefully we get more coming, because this is the first time Hasbro's produced Megatron in the crossovers of Transformers and G.I. Joe. But they still haven't done an Optimus yet. So they did Hound, Power Glide, Jetfire, Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, Ravage, Blaster, Bludgeon, Bats, Viper. So actually, technically, Viper was the first mass retail release. Forgot about that in Combiner Wars. Handful of Joe figures. And Transformers-wise, I think that's it. I think that's all the Transformer characters they've done. If I've missed any... Oh, they did a G2 Megatron, which every G2 Megatron with the purple and green color scheme technically counts as a G.I. Joe crossover, because that's the body that Cobra built for him in the original comics. So I guess there's that. If I'm forgetting anybody else, please feel free to comment it below. But I can't wait for Bumblebee. Hopefully, the point I was getting to is hopefully there's an Optimus Prime coming, because we've never had a Transformer G.I. Joe crossover Optimus Prime toy. Now, granted, most of the other figures I mentioned moments ago, none of them transform. This is the first transforming one, aside from Viper, which I almost forgot, and G2 Megatron. But that's it. This is the first actual Joe vehicle that transforms, and it's so exciting. So, let's get it out. Now, I've already done some of the assembly. In fact, I've actually also made some minor modifications, because if you've seen any other people's posts or seen some of the other reviews, yes, it's not perfect, despite how awesome it is. Now, it also comes with Baroness carded. I don't think I'm gonna open my Baroness, honestly. If she was a more modern style figure and fully articulated, that would be another story entirely, but there is a really good fully articulated G.I. Joe crossover Baroness that already exists, and that figure is much better. So I think I'm just going to wait for that one until I get a hold of that piece. So here she is on card. She looks really, really great. Again, vintage style, very classic Baroness looking. She comes with her rifle. She comes with her backpack, I guess. I think that's a backpack. You got her bio and stuff on the back. Love these little data file bios that they did on the card backs. Classic Hasbro logo right there. Yeah, this is a really great piece. I think I'm gonna keep her on card. Set her aside. Okay, so the pieces that were separate in the packaging when I opened him up were his Hisstank backpack. So it's got the turret for the Hisstank. It's got the cockpit canopy for the Hisstank mode. So for his robot mode, what we're going to do is we're going to fold that down. And there's a couple of pegs right here that connects to this hinge. And then it just tabs in. So he has a really big backpack, which is one of the complaints about this figure. He has this really big backpack hanging off, which, yeah, it's kind of unsightly, but at the same time, I don't think it looks that bad. I don't think it's the hollowness is as bad as people are complaining about. Because here's the thing, okay? They definitely started with the Hisstank mode, making this a very, very awesome looking Hisstank, and then designing the Megatron after. I get that. We wanted the Hisstank mode to look really, really cool and really unique, and also look like a Hisstank, which it should. He's supposed to be a robot in disguise here. So I get the hollow bits right here behind the legs because the way they fold up. That stuff's got to go somewhere. You can't just have, you know, a bunch of big paneling and stuff in the way, because then how are you going to transform it? Same deal with his back here. You know, I feel like they could have come up with some kind of way to engineer where this breaks down a little bit more, folds up just a little bit better. But the main reason it doesn't is because they wanted to keep the turret intact, so that you can have your Joe or Cobra character, rather, in the turret, in the gunner seat over Megatron's back, because this is also, you know, a current state Human Alliance type Transformer figure again. So I get why we have it like that. Now, I wish there was some kind of other panel to get to if we didn't want to have this on and parts form him a little bit. I know parts forming, gross, worst toy ever. But to cover his back here, because without this, you know, he's just got a hole in his back like Age of Extinction Galvatron there, and it is just kind of weird and out of place. It'd be cool if the back of the Hisstank, which also acts as his shield in robot mode, could, you know, incorporate back here in some way. It doesn't, so that's kind of a shame too. Now, granted, I'm gonna leave this on here just because I like it. I think it looks cool. This Megatron figure is awesome. I know not everybody, like I said, was totally impressed or totally thrilled with it, but for a long-time Transformers fan who has been waiting on a crossover piece like this for forever, this is a dream come true piece to me. Now, let's get into the modifications I had to make on this. I don't know why Hasbro did this the way they did. There's really no reason for them to have, but the peg hole for his fusion cannon is on the back of his hand rather than on his forearm where it's supposed to go. So peg's on here. It looks weird. I'm one of those. I don't like it either. Nobody likes this. Hasbro, what were you thinking with that? I took my heat tool that I have with multiple changing bits and heads and made a new peg hole right here, right in the forearm. Yeah, his fusion cannon plugs right on. It's way better. It's where it's supposed to be. and it's having trouble staying on. There we go. Yeah, it's where it's supposed to be, sitting on his arm. It doesn't really interfere with his big shoulder pads here, having it right there. So having it slightly higher, Hasbro, was fine. I just proved it. You see, it's fine. It works. It's fine. Move the peg hole, Hasbro. What the heck? His shield, I just did it the same thing over there because his shield looks kind of weird all the way down here. So I moved it up just a little bit higher. It just looked wonky down there as well. So there you go. Shield's up there. Fusion cannon's right there. And then last but not least, the other modification I did was right here on his chest piece. I had a Cobra Decepticon symbol that I got from Toy Hacks because they have all kinds of awesome symbols and upgrade sticker sheets that you can get that can do some really awesome things for your figures. So yeah, I had some of these, so I added one to his chest because it just, I don't know, it felt better than having the plain Decepticon logo right here. Since this is a crossover piece, I felt as though he should have the Cobra Decepticon symbol instead. So I added that. Another really cool thing you can do, since I don't have, I'm not opening Baroness, I do have the Reaction 3 3/4 scale Rumble here. And you know what you can do with him? He can be your little 3 3/4 scale partner in Megatron's turret. And he can also ride in Megatron. That's the whole thing, the whole point about these figures. You can put 3 3/4 scale figures inside the turret, the cockpit, and all in his vehicle mode, and that's just super, super cool. Of course, I also have, you don't necessarily have to have a non-transforming one. I also brought his brother Frenzy, the original cassette Frenzy. I brought him as well, and he will also sit in the turret, which is really cool. Fully articulated robot mode. His head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders. That was not supposed to do that. The shoulder pads do move in and out on a hinge. Lower bicep, single jointed elbows. Nothing at the wrists. Nothing really at the waist either. His little hip panels do articulate on a ball joint. Fully articulated hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees, and the foot moves forward and back, but that's mostly due to transformation. Transformation on this figure is actually pretty cool. So we're going to start by bringing his shoulder, the fronts of the Hisstank out. We're going to bring those all the way out as far as it'll go. Then we're going to bring these little panels down and then close those back over it. Like that. Next, we're going to bring the arms up and then pull on his whole chest section here on this double joints. We're going to, on those double hinges, we're going to bring that all the way out. And then we're going to bring those arms down. Next, we're going to come to the legs here. And we're going to bend the legs pretty much as far as they'll go, and then just bring his thigh all the way up to his waist. Do the same thing over here, bend them pretty much as far as they'll go, and then bring his thigh all the way up to its waist. And then we're going to untab his waist from his torso, so it's at a 90-degree angle, and then just kind of bring the legs up because they don't really tab in yet. All right, make sure his arms are facing kind of downward like so, and then we're just going to kind of bring these all the way around like that. Rotate this arm so it's facing this way, and then just tuck it in that gap, in that hollow gap there where the leg goes. See, this is what I was talking about when I was saying Yes, I know a lot of people are complaining about his robot mode looking a bit hollow, but again, what those people aren't really taking into consideration is the fact that this does have to transform into a full Hisstank vehicle. And that stuff has to go, it's got to go somewhere. You know, it can't just, it can't just hang out. So yeah, get that forearm just kind of tucked away in there, and then take his foot, and that's going to cover that gap in the forearm. We're going to do the same thing over here. Bring that arm around. Make sure that's facing that way. And then, now that we brought this arm over, just kind of tab this whole cockpit section and these shoulder sections together. And then we're just going to kind of raise it on that hinge, get it out of our way while we finish getting that other arm tucked away, getting that foot folded in. And that's pretty much it for that section. Bring the whole cockpit down, and that's pretty much it for the front of the Hisstank. Before we bring all of this down, let's finish the back real quick. So these are going to rotate like so on both sides, and they're going to tab in to the treads there on both sides. And then there's a couple of little tabs on the sides of Megatron's chest there, and those are going to tab into these intersections of the rear treads, so that's all nice and one piece. Go ahead and get back on there, buddy. There we go. And now we're going to bring that section back up that we folded in earlier for his robot mode, and just kind of ease it all down, fill in those gaps. Get it all tabbed in. Make sure we didn't undo anything. And then you're probably thinking, all right, now his robot mode chest and face are just kind of hanging out the back. And they are. So here's where the little bit of parts forming comes in. First things first, we're going to grab this little hitch piece hanging off of his gut panel. We're going to pull that up. And then we're going to take this back cover here and just cover up all that robot mode stuff. That's where his shield goes. And now we have a full-on Hisstank. And it's a really, really good Hisstank mode. There are not a lot of visible robot mode bits. I mean, you got the shins here from the bottom. You got his lower torso right here incorporated into the back a little bit. But other than that, almost none of his robot mode is visible at all when he's in Hisstank mode. Like I said, they definitely started with the Hisstank mode first when they designed this piece, and then worked their way out. You could take his fusion cannon and stick it right there to make his turret even better. Like I said, you can put 3 3/4 scale figures inside the cockpit. So we're going to put our little Rumble figure inside. And the reason I chose these 2 cassettes, since I didn't bring any loose Joe figures with me, is because they're about the size of an average human anyway in their robot modes. So you can see what that looks like when you incorporate figures like that while he's in his Hisstank mode. And I just thought that was just super cool to do it like that, which is why I chose the figures I chose. I also chose this Rumble instead of going with the G1 mold Rumble because they don't have any forward leg articulation, so it would have he wouldn't be able to sit inside the cockpit with this mold very well. Well, I guess you could kind of get him in there. It's going to be a little challenging, but maybe. Okay, yeah, you can kind of lay him down in there. It looks kind of strange because he's not sitting, he's laying down, but yeah, I guess you can kind of get him in there. Now let's put Rumble back in. There we go. And put Frenzy back where he was. And there you have it. Guys, what do you think of the new G.I. Joe crossover vehicle? Is this one that you were super excited about like I was? Have you been really looking forward to some Transformers G.I. Joe crossover transformable vehicles for a long time? Or is this one you're going to skip because of the price, which it's like, I think, what, $80, $90? Which, yeah, that's a bit high, although it is quite a large figure, and you also get a whole separate carded figure with it, which would have been about, what, 15 bucks retail anyway, if it was just sitting on a peg somewhere. So really what we're paying is, what, 65, 70-ish for Megatron, which, I mean, he's about the size of a leader class. Actually, he's on the larger end of a leader class. He's closer to a commander class, actually. I've heard around the community thrown around that he's more masterpiece scale, and I lean to agree with that a little bit. He is definitely significantly larger than the current generation scale, so he doesn't really scale with the current generation's line. I can't wait for more. I'm still looking forward to Bumblebee. I can't wait to see how Bumblebee turns out. But I'm very happy with this figure. I think this was a really strong start. Going with Megatron was a bold choice, and I'm happy they did it because he looks fantastic. He's a really, really cool figure. I can put other Decepticons inside his vehicle mode, which is really awesome. There's a lot of cool playability here. I'd say he's worth it. He was worth it to me. I hope he's worth it to you. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments about this figure here. Stay tuned for more Transformers reviews. Stay tuned for more of our other Bay 12 video reviews, because we do all kinds of reviews here on Bay 12 all the time. Check us out on social media, like and subscribe. Check out our Bay 12 live sales that we do on our Facebook page, and check out our new physical location inside Order 66 Multiverse in the shops at Willow Bend in Plano, Texas. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.